Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 272 of the RRBG podcast. This podcast is a proud member of the Podbelly Network. Go to podbelly.com and check out all the amazing shows we have on our network, including the Sofa King podcast, Robots for Eyes, Art and Jacob Do America. I mean, there's one for everything that you're into. If you're into Magic the Gathering, they got you. If you're into the occult, they got you. You're into serial killers, they got you. Everything. Go to podbelly.com, check out the list, and support the network. This episode is also brought to you by Killcliff. My friends over at Killcliff make the best energy drink you can buy in the market today. Clean energy, none of that crap that they put in Monster or any of those Red Bulls. No sugar, just clean power for all the grind you're going to have to put in today. And if you're not grinding today and you just want to relax, they also have CBD drinks to help you recover from any injuries you may have, any kind of inflammation. Maybe you went a little too hard at the gym. CBD drink will get you right back on track. Go to their website, killcliff.com. Check out all their different flavors. My personal favorite Ignite drink is the Cherry Limeade. And in the CBD category, you have to try the Joe Rogan Special. It's the Flaming Joe Pineapple with Jalapeno. It's not that spicy. You just get a little bit of a kick at the end. It's delicious. Go to killcliff.com and tell them that RRBG sent you. This episode is also brought to you by our good friends at Saints Joints. Go to saintsjoints.com to check out all the options that they have. They have these amazing packages with pre-roll joints, which will have pre-rolls from either side of the strain spectrum, either indica or sativa, and they even have multi-strain collections. Pick up one of their amazing Book of Saints. They currently have 2 volumes, volume 2 being a special Halloween edition. It looks like the Necronomicon. It's amazing. They're currently available in Washington and Oregon and will soon be available in California. Go to saintsjoints.com and tell them that RRBG sent you. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Thunderking Coffee. Thunderking provides organic, air-roasted coffee straight out of Costa Mesa, California. It's seriously some of the best coffee I've ever had. My personal favorite is the Positive Morning Attitude. I order 2 pounds of this almost every 2 weeks because I just can't get enough. But they also have bottled cold brew. They have their special California Christmas peppermint cold brew out right now. You can order it from their website. So go to thunderkingcoffee.com and check it out. Support small, independent businesses, people. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the RRBG podcast. In this episode, I talked to Jonah, the top dog. He's a professional wrestler. You may know him from WWE's NXT. He was the North American champion there. Currently set up to take on the War Master himself, Josh Barnett, at Bloodsport 8 on March 31st. Make sure to pick up tickets for that on Fight TV. We talked a lot about him jumping into shoot-style wrestling with Bloodsport, his departure from the WWE and how he felt about that, the independent wrestling scene as a whole. We talked a little bit about music, found out that Deftones is his favorite band. It was a great time. I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure to follow him at Jonah is Here on all the things. Click subscribe, little heart, and little follow button down there for us. And if you get a chance, check out our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/RRBG. Cheers. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the RRBG podcast. I am here with the top dog, Jonah. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for taking some time to speak with me today.
Of course, yeah. Always happy to.
Yeah. So, very exciting that you are going to be at Bloodsport
Yes.
8.
Yep. Yeah. It's something that I've had my eye on. Like obviously, when I was with WWE. That's sort of when it first started, and I've always been a fan of shoot-style wrestling. I competed in Ambition for WXW, which is their shoot-style tournament.
Okay.
So I was always excited when I got to see that Bloodsport was a continuing thing. I wasn't sure if it was something that was going to happen every year. So as soon as I had the chance to do it, I threw my name in the hat. Okay. And just so happened that the person that drew my name is Josh Barnett himself. So,
oh yes, you are facing the War Master himself.
No pressure.
No pressure whatsoever. Yeah, I'm sure he'll have fun trying to stretch you out and put a beat in. You can try. That's gonna be that's a tough task even for the War Master. I gotta say, man, you're a big boy.
Yeah, I think Clash of Styles always makes matches. Mm-hmm, and Josh is one of those people, especially at Bloodsport. He's had a lot of guys that are smaller than him, so it's going to be an interesting challenge for him. Obviously, I know how immensely strong he is. I've rolled around with him before in LA, so I think it's going to come down to some heavy hitting, and if he can catch me at some point, that's what it'll be.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny how strong he is. Like, you don't really notice. I mean, he's a big guy too. He's tall.
Yeah, he's big, deceptively big. Deceptively big.
And every once in a while, like if we're just hanging out and he'll like grab me, I'm just like, ow. Like, what? Don't do that. But no, he's a great dude, but got to go to war. So yes. Tell me a little bit about the style that the approach you're taking when you're going to go in there, since there's no ropes. It's a little bit different.
It's very different to anything else that I have done. I've done some training in catch wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and Muay Thai kickboxing myself. Again, not as a trained professional as Josh Barnett is, but just to assist my training in professional wrestling. The person that trained me was actually trained by Antonio Inoki himself.
Oh, so nice.
He had that very same mindset of Inoki of making us fighters first and then pro wrestlers. And I've sort of taken that with me throughout my whole career. But now getting to showcase that, I think, is something different people haven't seen from me in a long time. Some people might have, but people that have seen my WWE journey wouldn't have seen this side of me. The no ropes is an interesting thing, though. Like, I've obviously rolled around on mats in jiu-jitsu gyms and stuff like that. And I've had shoot-style wrestling matches in a ring with ropes. So now to be in a ring, which is, a few feet high, and then have no ropes, is pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah. They keep the posts up. So, I mean, you could run into a post that's going to be, a little harder.
Yeah.
There's no rope to kind of catch a little bit of that. But, and also, I mean, one of your finishers is like the top rope, slam down.
It is. Yeah. I do the tsunami because I call it that because it's bigger than a normal splash. So, that is my finish, the top rope splash. And I'm one of the big guys, along the vein of a Bam Bam Bigelow or Vader that isn't afraid to go to the top rope. But, I do the splash. I do a superplex where I stand on the top rope. So with the ropes gone, it makes it a bit different for me.
Yeah. It's, well, I mean, have you thought about what kind of move your finisher will be now, since that's not going to be an option, really?
I know. I mean, I'm hoping I can get Josh up and hit him with a brain buster. It's one of my moves that I usually set people up with for the splash. So maybe that's a possibility. And I am known to powerbomb people as well. So these are assets that I've learned from professional wrestling that I know you can do in shoot style situations as well, like a sugar bag, which is a power bomb. I can definitely get most men up, but again, Josh is a deceptive man, so we'll see if I have the strength to get him up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you choose. It's not very common, like you were saying, to see a big man on the ropes, doing some high flying. Not a lot of high flying, but you got some high, top rope spots. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, I feel like that would. I'm a big guy too, but not that big, but just I'm pretty hefty, and my knees take a terrible hit every time I do any kind of high impact thing like that. What's your secret in terms of trying to protect your knees and everything like that?
Good quality knee pads to begin with. I made sure, younger in my career, I didn't invest as much into the things like that. I just had whatever knee pads I could pick up. Now I only wear one specific type of knee pad that I know protects my knees. I have had a knee injury before in my career, so I make sure to do that. And it's about warming up and sort of knowing, how to do these things. Like, I've perfected my splash now where I know I can, protect my knees a little comparatively to when I first started doing it. So it was a lot of hours and training and jumping off the top rope and hoping that I don't kill myself, basically.
Yeah.
That and I think like the type of workouts and preparation you do for like your legs and stuff like that definitely helps as well.
Yeah. Now, is that something that like you've committed to now being, considered a big guy in terms of wrestling?
Yeah.
Is this something you have to maintain? Like you got to eat extra than before? I mean, because people tell me all the time, like, oh, you got to lose weight. What are you doing? And it's like, no. Yeah. What if I want to be a big guy?
Yeah. I've sort of had that on and off throughout my whole career. I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with food, I guess. Yeah. I was one when I started. I would have been at least 270 pounds. I've always been a naturally big kid and big guy. I'm half Samoan, so I think that's part of it. We sort of are those sort of people. But then as my wrestling career progressed, I started getting more noticed and more pushed and featured the bigger I was. Same as getting into WWE, they wanted me to stay as I became the colossal Bronson Reed. Yeah, so they wanted me to be big, but still be able to move. So I think that's the key to it. If you are getting bigger and you're a big man in wrestling, you still need to be able to move and go and wrestle for 20 minutes and not be just a lump in the ring.
Right.
So that's been the challenge, is every time I've gotten like bigger or to a certain degree is to keep that up. I do a lot of like training, like I have a assault bike. So I do a lot of like interval training with that to try and keep my, my athletic levels to a degree where I can still do it. I'm 345 pounds at the moment.
Nice.
I think I'll always be a big man in wrestling. I may lose a few pounds, but I'll always be around that 300 mark. Like I want to make sure that I'm a super heavyweight. That's what makes me special.
Yeah. And so for that kind of thing to stay at that level, because, even if you just slack on eating or whatever, and you're still exercising as hard as you normally are, you'll lose weight. So what do you do to kind of maintain, like what's your diet like?
Yeah. I mean, at first, when I first got into wrestling, it was all about high protein and making sure I'm getting enough of that to try and build some muscle. Because I was sort of just a chubby kid. I wasn't in any sort of like muscular at all. So when I first picked up like a barbell, I was shocked at how heavy it was. And then luckily the guy that trained me, we did a lot of body weight things like squats and push-ups and stuff like that. But then he suggested to me like, hey, you need to get into some sort of weightlifting, whether it's bodybuilding or powerlifting or something like that. And I did bodybuilding for a few years, started to build muscle, and then realized that my love in weights was powerlifting. So I did that for a few more years. And again, that was about gaining more weight to be able to push a maximum weight as well.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I do now. Like sort of, I haven't been doing powerlifting as much. It's just making sure to get an excess amount of calories. I try not to eat too bad. Obviously, I could just eat chocolate all day and stuff like that and get those calories in, but it's really not going to help me with my performance or anything. So it's a lot of like carbohydrates with the protein. So stuff like I eat a lot of rice, a lot of potatoes, along with my beef or my chicken that I eat.
And how much like beef or chicken are you putting down? Because I remember watching an old documentary on like Yokozuna, for example, and he was eating like a whole cow. It was insane.
Yeah. Not as much as him. I think somehow my body's sort of at that range now where I used to, when I was starting to put on weight and do things like that, I was eating like 5,000-6,000 calories a day, trying to get bigger. But now I don't know if it's just because my metabolism is slowing down the older that I get. I don't have to eat as much to put on weight. I found it's now the reverse. Like, I eat a chocolate bar and I'm 3 pounds heavier. So at the moment, I'm probably sitting around 3,000 calories a day, roughly.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's what I do now, but I'm not training to be a power man. So
yeah.
So, to go back a little bit about on the career, the wrestling career, as people know, you were part of the cuts that happened in WWE where everybody, was that for you personally, was that kind of like a relief, or was it more like, were you upset? Like, was that the end game for you, WrestleMania, WWE's big event?
I think, yeah, in regards to that, for me, I wasn't upset or relieved. I was angry. I was angry. That was the first emotion that hit me, was anger, because, like you said, my goals were to do the things like a Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and sort of had this bucket list of things I wanted to achieve in my wrestling career and tick them off. And I have been fortunate and lucky enough to tick off a bunch of those things, but there were still a couple that I didn't get to do. And the way that it all went down with my release as well was I was on the cusp of going to a main roster Raw or SmackDown, and that was what I was told. I was told, okay, you're leaving NXT, you're going to be on SmackDown or Raw. And then I get the call thinking, okay, this was during SmackDown. I was watching SmackDown on my TV at home. I was like, okay, this must be about, going to Raw on Monday or following SmackDown. And I get told that I'm released. So, which was, again, I'm not saying that anyone deserves to be released or anything like that. But I was in that circumstance where I was just the North American champion on NXT.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels and Triple H were big on me. They were pushing me to do more in NXT, but then they were told, hey, this guy's going to end up over here. So they told me this is what's happening. So it was a big shock to me that rather than getting a shot on Raw or SmackDown, I wasn't given a shot at all. I was just released. It's
got to be upsetting, man.
Yeah.
Were you able to do anything on them? Like, didn't you do main event? Did you end up on main event, I think?
I did. Yeah, I did 2 dark matches. And then I did the main event match as well, which was cool for Vince McMahon himself to see. I got to have a one-on-one interview with Vince as well, and it all was going well. So I'm not 100% sure what happened. I've been told numerous things by different people. I didn't leave on bad terms. It was one of those things where they said, we're going in a different direction. We don't think you would fit in, but the door is always open. And that was it. Like, I was released. Okay. I think it could be one of 2 things. I think obviously they're going for more athletes and younger talent now. I'm not an old talent either. I'm only 33 years old. I think wrestlers sort of hit their peak around 36 to 38 anyway.
Yeah.
So I was sort of shocked in that aspect. But then I also heard that they wanted to sort of gut and get rid of all of what NXT was, the black and gold brand, and make it different. So I wouldn't have fit in there either. So I'm not too sure why, but I think there's a couple of theories there.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan, I was very upset with the whole situation. Just seeing some of my friends that are there that were getting cut, or even the whole, as a fan, just watching the transition to NXT 2.0.
Yeah.
I'm getting a call from John Hannigan.
Okay.
Sorry. I'll call him back. I've been trying to get him on the phone all week. Anyway, who's also on Bloodsport, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So NXT 2.0, not a fan. I mean, I was more of a fan of the black and gold brand, just even aesthetically, musically, it was,
I agree.
Yeah, I all of it. But seeing the way that it went down, it seems to me, just from the outside, like the changes aren't even, like, everybody wants to blame Vince. And I don't think it's all his choice anymore. Like, I think there's so many other gears moving in that machine. And they're just like, oh, we need to get rid of all this, and we need to get rid of this for budgets or whatever, just so that we can do this new vision. But it's still very upsetting. But you didn't take any time off. I mean, you immediately went to New Japan.
Yeah. I was, if anything, I was forced time off. I had my no compete where I wasn't allowed to do anything. And then I had to figure out my immigration as well, which took an extra 45 days or so. If I didn't have to sort out immigration, I would have been straight into things straight away. But yeah, I was in talks with all the major companies that you would think. I was in talks with New Japan, Impact Wrestling, AEW, and New Japan were the ones that really wanted to support me, and they helped me with immigration and stuff like that. So that's where my focus went at first. But then I also had Impact Wrestling come onto board as well. So now I'm in a sort of cool situation where technically I am a free agent, but I have agreements with both New Japan and Impact Wrestling. And they both are allowing me to do do both shows and vice versa. So I'm pretty happy about it. And yeah, I got the ball rolling as quick as possible because my whole wrestling career, as soon as I started wrestling, I'd wrestle as much as possible. So to have any of that time off sort of made me go stir crazy.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be out there doing things.
Yeah. And it's a good time too with, Impact and New Japan and AEW kind of all working together, and now Ring of Honor is joining AEW and all of that. So is there a plan to, are you interested in becoming all elite, as they say?
I wouldn't put it off of the table. I always am one of those people, like I try to see where I fit best. Right before I signed with WWE, I was offered to go to other places as well. And it just happened that I thought WWE was going to be the best fit for me at the time. And I'm glad I did it because I had a great experience at NXT and I learned a lot and it helped me build my name in wrestling.
Yeah,
but now
you got a championship out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was very lucky that Triple H saw me as that and, made me a champion. But now, like when I see the wrestling landscape, I watch everything. I watch AEW. I watch, obviously, Impact I'm involved with, New Japan, and a lot of the indies as well. And some of the other wrestling companies in Japan as well. I see how AEW is, and I don't know where I'd fit right now. I can see that there's a lot of talent there at the moment and only so much TV each week. And I think I'm doing well with Impact and where I fit in and where I could possibly go with Impact. And the same is said with New Japan. Once the Japan borders open, I know that I can sort of skyrocket a bit there. So it all depends. I think timing is everything. And I'll never say no to everything. Even with returning to WWE, I will never say that it's a no. But it all depends on timing and where I think I'll fit best.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was going to say that too. If they left the door open for you at WWE, like you could still have time to achieve those bucket list things. Like you said, you're just, you're young, and you can do a cool couple-year run between New Japan and AEW and whatever, and then eventually, get back to WWE and do your bucket list.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I never say never to anything. Like, especially in the wrestling world, how quickly things move and how quickly things can change, as we've seen with all these releases. And this past year, the whole landscape of wrestling has really changed, and AEW getting more popular. Obviously, the pandemic, changed a bunch of things. Japan had to shut down, and that alters how New Japan is working. So in a year's time, things could be completely different. So I always try to keep my book open. But that being said, I also want to be, as much as I love being a free agent, I also want to set down a contract like I was with WWE. So I have one place that I can focus as my major priority and then go from there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's more stability. It's already tumultuous and very stressful to be in the situation that we're in overall, and then to be worried about bookings with different companies too, making sure you're making flights and
of course that happened to me this weekend, which was a big eye-opener. Like, I like my current position being a free agent, but I had a booking in Indianapolis and it had a stopover in Washington, and all the flights got canceled going to Washington because of the snowstorm. So then, being a free agent, obviously that's how I make my money, going to this show to make, for the week, and I just didn't get any money. Like, it was just my weekend's pay is gone. So it's like, okay, like that's just what comes with being an independent wrestler or a free agent or whatever you want to call it. So if I can lock something down more secure, I definitely will. But I don't want to do big, long 3-year contracts like I did with WWE to begin with. I'd like to sort of keep them a bit shorter. And then again, when things open up, if I want to change where I'm going, I can.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Keep it open. That way there's no if you get locked into one of these contracts like WWE, you see it with some of their talent that's just kind of sitting around. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, that unfortunately happens, yeah.
Like, look at Gargano. I haven't seen him since the whole NXT split.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's at.
I think technically he's a free agent right now as we speak as well.
Oh, that's right.
His contract's up, yeah. And he hasn't gone
his wife is
anywhere.
Yeah, his wife is the one that's she's still there, but is not done anything, and she's about to get her contract expire. It's about to expire soon.
Yeah.
So that's where I got confused. But yeah, still they have talent just sitting around doing nothing, and AEW is starting to get to that problem. Everybody, all the Twitter people are like, oh, if you got cut from WWE, you got to go to AEW. It's like, but there's so many people there.
Yeah, I think it's almost one of the things. It's not a bad thing. I think we're in a period now where there's so many talented wrestlers all around the world, and especially here in the US, that you can almost have 4 or 5 functioning major companies because there is so much talent.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, if you have too many in one place, they're not going to get featured. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping, more places get different people, and then people actually get featured. But it is a bit cutthroat at the moment for sure, because you have a lot of independent talent that's up and coming that want to get those breaks. But then you have a lot of people that have been released or gone from other companies who now want those opportunities as well. So it's hard to cement a spot for yourself.
Yeah, because they show up like, hey, I was a champion over there.
Yeah.
Can I get a little bit of a push over here? And it's like, sorry, we already have our plan for the next 2 years, so you're going to have to wait.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that.
Yeah, you look at like Bryan Danielson, like he, I'm sure him showing up, it's like, hey, I'm one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but we have these plans in place. I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait in line. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for a third and fourth. I mean, Game Changer is kind of starting to become the third and become like an ECW sorts, to the whole Monday Night War. They had WWE versus WCW and then ECW. I feel like that's where Game Changer is.
Yeah.
But there's definitely room, Impact can grow even further. I mean, they've got really great talent over there. They're starting to bring in more money. They're starting to have more, live shows with audiences now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a very good time to be a wrestling fan, a good time to be a wrestler. If your body 100%. Allows it, Like I want to do it, but I have so many injuries, I can't. I can't do it. I mean, I'll last 2 matches and then I'm done.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing is like making sure to keep yourself, where you're injury free as much as possible. But I think in professional wrestling, you're never not going to be somewhat hurt. There's always some sort of nagging injury throughout. Whether it's my elbow for a couple of months and that feels better, then it's my shoulder, then it's my knee, then it's like there's always something. But if it's nothing, there's like a major injury where you need surgery, then, it's doable. You just get on with it. But it is a tough lifestyle.
Yeah. And now, how are you, mentally too? Because, and then not to, put a light on any kind of weakness or anything, but, I know that it was a tough time, period, just with the pandemic and then the cuts and then, the kind of the uncertainty. Were you able to bounce back up? Because I know when it comes to wrestlers, they're very tough mentally. It's a very hard job. So you get to, you have to grind it out. But did you notice any kind of faltering in terms of your mental state during all this craziness? Yeah,
of course. I think that's the biggest thing with professional wrestlers. They do like to act tough, and we are tough people mentally and physically, but it's sort of the way I came in as well is like you don't mention if you need something or if you need to reach out to someone, whereas the wrestling world's become a lot more accepting now of people speaking about how they feel and what they're going through, which I love. I love that the fans are like that and they understand that there are these certain pressures on the talent. I did pretty well. Like I said, I went through probably 7 stages of grief with my release pretty quickly. Like I felt like if you remember the Simpsons episode where he gets told he's going to die and he goes through the 7 stages of grief in like 30 seconds. That's what it felt like for me. Like I was angry, then I was upset, then I was okay with it all within like a week, basically. But I think the big thing that happened for me mentally was it made me question myself a lot. I'm like, why did I get cut and reasons? And I think from speaking to other people that were released as well is you have to look at it as a business decision and nothing personal. And that it was just a business decision. You got released, but it was nothing to do with, hey, we think your hair looks shit or or something like that. You know what I mean? Where you do question those things like, oh, could I have done that better?
Yeah. You're not hurt. You're not out there hurting people either. You're being,
no, no, exactly. Yeah. So that was the big thing for me, was just to make sure that I knew in my heart of heart that it was nothing like that. And I'm still a great performer. And now, if anything, it drove me to make sure wherever else that I do go, like an Impact or New Japan, that I do make that impact and people see my body of work and go, oh, wow. And I have had that. I'm very lucky that pretty much every fan that I've met has been like, I don't understand what happened. I don't know why they would release you. I don't know how they can't see that they can make money off you. And I'm like, well, it's their loss and other places gain. So that's what I'm trying to do now, is just build that great body of work this year where people can go, wow, Jonah had a great 2022, like all of these matches.
Yeah. I mean, New Japan is part of that journey. To me, that adds to whoever goes over there. It adds a level of respect to, you know, and maybe it's unfounded for me, but I just, every time I see like a Moxley or you know, Jericho when he went over there, it was like, it adds like a whole new, like, oh wow, because you know Jericho did it before. Yes. But now that he's, you know, did the whole rise to the top in WWE and then went back to New Japan, I was like, wow, that's really cool, you know? Yeah. And now I feel like New Japan's becoming more common, like a household name. Now that they got the US show with New Japan Strong, now I feel like that platform is Bloodsport. When I see someone hit up Bloodsport, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, like, what's this about? It adds like a whole new level to your, you know, to your portfolio, I guess, if you want to call it.
I feel like shoot style wrestling like Bloodsport was very niche. It's obviously more popular now. People are sort of starting to understand it. I was a big fan of like UWF from the 90s in Japan, and when Vader was there. So that's sort of how I'm seeing myself in Bloodsport. But I think fans understand that as well, that like obviously the bookers, the promoters pick who is on these shows, and you have guys that have martial art backgrounds on the shows, but then you have these pro wrestlers like Moxley or myself that are on the show as well, and it shows that they obviously have a love for this type of wrestling. It's nothing other than that, you know what I mean? It's not about money. It's not about making a bigger name for myself. It's about improving myself that I can do this style of wrestling.
Yeah. Now, so you have no martial arts background? Have you?
I just training. So I have no like professional record in anything. I've never taken a professional fight, but I trained in jiu-jitsu, catch wrestling, and kickboxing back in Australia. So that's sort of what my background is.
Have you thought about it? Maybe doing, you know, some actual like, you know, competition?
I have before. I know that like to do it, you have to really focus on it. So my focus is still on professional wrestling for the time being. I'd like to train more. Like I think getting to do this Bloodsport event has sort of ignited a little bit of passion in me to go back and start. Like I haven't done any jiu-jitsu training since being in WWE or kickboxing or anything like that. So I think I'm going to pick that back up when I'm home off the road. I can sort of go and train. But it was something like, I think it's in the back of my mind, it is a little bit of a something I'd like to do down the line, is take a professional fight. But I'd like to really train for it, maybe take a good 3-month camp, you know, be in a good enough shape and say that, hey, I gave it a really good shot and see how it went.
Well, that'd be cool. I'd be into seeing that. Now, I wanted to ask you, because I think I see some video games back there. I could be wrong.
Yes. I have an old like analog television with the Nintendo 64 set up in this room. This is my office / 90s games room, I guess.
Nice. I mean, do you have the newer systems too, or just the old school stuff?
I'm the old school guy. So I have newer system wise, I have a Nintendo Switch. And that's mainly because I can travel with it. I can do stuff like that, but it also has like most of the games that I do like to play. So I have that. I'm thinking about investing in like a new Xbox if I can get my hands on one.
Yeah.
Or PlayStation 5. That's the hard thing. It seems like you can't get your hands on any, but I'm not one to be a big gamer. When I do have spare time, it's either in the gym or I'm huge on movies and music. So I'm always watching movies.
What kind of music are you into?
Pretty much everything. You know, I want to say like primarily I was a huge hip hop fan, but as a teenager it was heavy metal, hip hop, punk music, like a bit of a mixture of everything. And then as I got older, I listened to even more stuff now. So like a lot of alternative music as well.
Name some name like 3 or 4 bands that you got on rotation.
I mean, I want to say one of my favorite all-time bands is probably Deftones.
Oh,
so I'm always listening to Deftones. I have like a flag in my gym, the White Pony flag.
Beautiful.
Other bands, I mean, at the moment I've been listening to I'm trying to think of where they're from. Iceland, you know, Sigur Rós.
Oh,
they're like very, very different sort of music. But
they made up their own language.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So I've been listening to them a lot. I've been listening to some older AFI recently, like punk music. Metallica,
CM Punk music. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody flipped out when he came out with AFI again. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay. That's cool.
Metallica's always in my rotation for the gym. A lot of the stuff I listen to in the gym, I guess I'm listening to that most days because that's sort of what I'm doing. So Metallica and Hatebreed is another band I'm always listening to. Yeah,
Hatebreed's good workout music.
Oh, Hatebreed. If I want to like, so I was training to get like a max bench press the start of this year. Mm-hmm. Took me about 5 or 6 months, and I hit it. I hit a 500-pound bench press. Nice. Which I put on my YouTube page, and I had Hatebreed on to make sure I could get it.
Yeah,
there's something about their lyrics, they're very like uplifting, like, but still being heavy
your
music.
Shit done and be hard, and
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got the Deftones tequila back there.
There you go. Yeah, I have not tried it.
I love those guys. I've been fortunate ever since I was in high school. I was like my number one band, the Deftones, and then late, through my late 20s, early 30s, I actually became friends with them, which is mind blowing to me. So like now they're coming down here, I believe in April to LA. So I'm trying to go hang and see them. And that's another thing, like trying to get back into going to live shows after the pandemic. Now I'm just like, I'm saying yes to all of them, and I'm running myself ragged. It's like, this week I've got 4 shows. Like, oh no.
I mean, that has been the thing, like live music, same with like live wrestling. Mm-hmm. It's a different experience to watching wrestling or listening to music, seeing it live. So I want to try and get out and get to more gigs and stuff like that now that I can, because it's just, there's nothing like it really.
Have you done the convention scene? I mean, doing the cycle of going to conventions, and
I've done a few. I've done a few signings since being released, which is cool because you get to, meet other people that are in the same circumstance and stuff. So, and again, just meet fans and see what they think about your career and what, I think speaking with the fans is very invaluable as a professional wrestler to know that you're on the right path and what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And same said for bands and music as well, I'm sure. Some people listen to their fans.
Yeah, you should. And I think it's a good thing, especially in the convention scene. Like, those are your real fans. They're the ones that are going to come out and pay money for a picture or, an autograph, and they'll have opinions. Obviously, you can't listen to all of them.
No.
But it's good to take some, like, oh, okay, thank you for bringing that up, or, oh, I hadn't thought about that, or, anything like that. But I've seen some people, like the Good Brothers, are finding a lot of success doing the convention scene. So money wise, anyway.
Of course, yeah. I mean, if you can stay busy, I'm always the guy. Like, I've done a couple, but my heart is always actually being in the ring. So if I have a booking that the same day I can do a convention, I'll probably do the match instead. Even though sometimes I can make the same amount of money doing the convention and not be hurt or anything, but I'm just sick in the head for wrestling. I'm obsessed with it, so I will always choose that over a convention.
Yeah.
But speaking of Deftones, what's your favorite Deftones song? I'm always interested with Deftones fans.
It's definitely something off of White Pony. Pony? Yeah, I'm probably somewhere in between Elite and Digital Bath, but
okay, cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I love all of their stuff, all of it. There's like one record, I think the Gore record, which came out, which I'm kind of like, there's a couple tracks that I don't care for. It's not that they're bad. I just like, I'll skip them.
Different, yeah.
But for the most part, I like almost all of their songs. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think there's something about them that you can just put it on and listen to the whole album. With most of their albums, I think my favorite track is Be Quiet and Drive.
Oh, yeah.
That's since I was a teenager, that was always been like one of my favorite all-time songs. But I think the White Pony album is probably my favorite album.
Yeah. It's funny. Be Quiet and Drive was one of the first few songs I learned to play on the guitar because I was so obsessed with the song and everything. So, yeah, I love their stuff because it feels like it ranges in emotions everywhere. Like, there's music for sexy time, there's music for angry time.
It's
like
true.
They have songs for every emotion. It's wild.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Well, hey, man, I want to, I know your time is limited, but I wanted to thank you for sitting down with me. I feel like I could talk to you for a couple hours. We got a lot in common.
Yeah, of course.
But people can catch you at Bloodsport 8, Thursday, March 31st. get your tickets now. It's going to be on Fight TV if you're not in Dallas. There's probably, I'm sure you have bookings for that whole weekend. There's a bunch of stuff because of Mania weekend.
I'll have New Japan and Impact Wrestling the next day. So
there you go.
You'll get to see me at Bloodsport, New Japan, and Impact. So make sure you come out and see the top dog.
And go support local or independent or smaller wrestling, because you don't really understand until you go see it. Like, that's one thing I've been telling people. Watching it on TV is one thing, but when you go to a New Japan show, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You know, I came from the local indies in Australia, which the scene is now starting to get a bit bigger. But I would always tell people that had only watched WWE, like, hey, come to one of our shows. You're going to see the hard-hitting action up close. And it's completely different to what you would see on television or even going to a big stadium show. It's a different feel when you get to see it up close.
Yeah. I recently saw you at New Japan Rivals, I think it was. For Storm.
Rivals? Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I was at that. Rocky got me in, but the difference between those shows, and then I went and I saw like a SmackDown, and it just feels different. Like, to me, SmackDown feels like a television production. Like,
yes,
they're filming
100%.
A movie, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas, New Japan feels like a violent act happening in front of you.
It's true. Yeah.
But I appreciate you, man, and hopefully next time you're in town, I'll hit you up, see if we can hang out and give you a high five. Follow people that are watching and listening. Follow Jonah. What's your socials again? Jonah is here.
At Jonah is here. Yeah, both on Twitter and Instagram. You can check me out there.
Awesome. And yes, please pick up tickets to Fight TV's Bloodsport 8 and Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 8 on Fight TV. I said that backwards. Get tickets. Please support. And thanks again, man. I appreciate you.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And take care.